30-30. Hey, if you're a deer hunter and you like the 30-30, I've got good news for you. It can shoot as far, flat, and hard as a .308 Winchester, according to some folks. Well, is it true? Can the old 30-30 actually shoot as hard as the .308 Winchester? Some people tell me it can, but they have a secret, and I'm going to reveal it on this episode. But before I do, I want to thank our patrons for supporting us on patreon.com. Really helps keep the lights on, guys, and we truly appreciate it. And I invite everyone to like and subscribe to our channel. That helps keep us on the air as well. Now, let's get to the 30-30 and the .308 Winchester. Why would anyone compare these two? A couple of good reasons. They're both 30 calibers. They both shoot the same diameter bullets, 0.308 inches in diameter, and they are both the two most popular hunting cartridges in 30 caliber in the country. The US of A, 30-30 and .308 Winchester are the two top dogs. So we are going to compare them, even though one of them is, how old is that thing now? It was born in 1895. That's when it first hit the streets. The .308 Winchester didn't come out until 1952. So they're neither one of them exactly spring chickens. But that old 30-30, I mean, it's got the rimmed case on it. That's the old-fashioned style from back in the day, whereas the .308 has a more of a 30-06 look to it with the rimless case. And it holds more powder than the 30-30. That 30-30 is water volume. If you fill it with water, you get about 45 grains in. Whereas the .308 Winchester, you're going to get 56. So you got about 10 more grains of powder space in the .308 Winchester. You should go a lot faster than the 30-30. How can guys tell me that they're getting .308 performance or nearly so out of a 30-30? As I said earlier, they're cheating, and we're going to tell you all how they do it in a little bit. But one of the other reasons the .308 Winchester shoots faster than the 30-30 Winchester is because it has a higher maximum average chamber pressure allowed, because it was built in not in lever action rifles that little suspect for strength. I think they can handle more than it was given, but when they put that out, they only gave it a maximum pressure of 42,000 PSI. The .308 Winchester, essentially designed for modern rifles with modern steels and all the rest, and strong bolt actions as well as auto loaders, as pretty much anything else you want to put it in. The chamber pressure is 62,000 PSI. So there's your difference. 10 more grains of powder, 20,000 more pressure, PSIs of pressure. I mean, good Lord, that thing is going to be going faster. And of course it does. Top end speed for the 30-30, you're probably looking at 2,300 feet per second, maybe 2,400 with a 150 grain bullet in a 24-inch barrel. But most 30-30s are stuck in rifles with handy little 20-inch barrels. And that's the whole idea, is to have a handy, quick, fast little woods rifle, 20-inch barrel. Now, if you're out in the open plains, you can drag a 24 around, but most guys just don't do it. Most of the old Winchesters and Marlins and now the new Henrys using 20-inch barrels. So you really need to go with those velocities. Whereas the .308, that thing came out shooting around 2,750 to 2,800 feet per second with a 150 grain bullet. And now with modern cool burning powders, you've got that up to closer to 3,000 feet per second. Man, that's really screaming. You're probably not going to find any factory loads that'll do that, but you can sure see those numbers in the hand loading manuals. We're going to work with those on our ballistics. Now, how does this change the ballistic performance of these two cartridges? I'm not going to go through all these numbers for you. We'll flash them up for a bit and you can kind of study them. But if you want to get the full report, go to rsotv.com. You can subscribe to that. Just go to ronspomeroutdoors.com. That's my website. And you can join up on the TV there. I have a lot of detailed reports like this on ballistics and all the numbers that a lot of people don't want to hear on these quicker little YouTube videos. So the upshot is that this thing is going to shoot a lot farther and a lot harder. Some of the numbers at 300 yards with their traditional round nose or flat nose bullet on the 30-30, you're going to have only 501 foot-pounds of energy left in those bullets. That is not a lot of energy, folks, at 300 yards. Whereas that .308 is still hanging out at 1,843 foot-pounds of energy. Vastly superior in the energy department. And the drops and drifts, too. 24 inches of drop out of this guy, if they're both zeroed for a maximum point blank range on a 6-inch target, dropping 24 inches, 2 feet with that 30-30. That's why they say it's about a 200-yard gun, not a 300. Whereas the 308 is only dropping 3.5 inches at 300 yards. Obviously a flatter shooter. So why are some guys saying they're getting this 30-30 to come close to the performance of the 308? Well, they're doing it with sharply tipped bullets, and I don't recommend this. It's potentially quite dangerous. Why is that? Well, the old 30-30s were built obviously for tubular magazine lever action rifles. That was the original setup. And what happens in a tubular magazine? You slide one round up in the tube, and then you slide another round behind it, and you continue in a like fashion until you get all your rounds in, which means that every bullet tip is riding against the primer of the cartridge in front of it. And what sets off primers? Firing pins. Nice, sharp little firing pins resting against that primer. Well, what happens under recoil? It's possible that you get some shaking around in there and this one goes wham, and you set off a chain reaction. Does this actually happen? A lot of people say no, it doesn't, but I'm not going to test it myself. If the manufacturers only put out round-nosed and flat-nosed bullets in 30-30s or anything that's stuck in a tubular magazine, it must be for a darn good reason. So I don't recommend using sharp tips. Well, what are these guys who tell me they doing to prevent that? Single loading or two-shot. Take your lever action, shove one sharply tipped 30-30 hand load up into the tubular magazine and stop. And now jack that one into your chamber, make sure your rifle is safe, put your second round in the tube, and that's it. You've got a two-shooter. You get your first shot off, you jack in your second round, you get your second shot, and there's no risk because there's no bullet tips against the primers of the rounds in front of them. But man, would it be easy to make a mistake and shove some more in there? That's why I don't recommend it. Now, what would happen when you do that? Well, obviously you're getting a sharply tipped bullet means you've got a higher ballistics coefficient. So you're not going to drop as fast, you're not going to deflect as much in the wind. And again, go to that rsotv.com and you look at all the numbers. But are they all that close? Can this really come close to the 308 Winchester? I'm going to look at the 200-yard drops and drifts on this one. The 308 Winchester and the 30-30 shooting the same sharply tipped boat tail bullet from Speer, 150 grains, and they're not that close. You're getting, this is again zero, so you don't go more than 3 inches high from your aim point, and then when it drops 3 inches below, you're at maximum point blank range. The maximum point blank range on the 308 Winchester with that load is 293 yards. With the 30-30 in that same load maxed out, and that includes putting it in a 24-inch barrel for more velocity, it's only 238 yards. So you're still a long ways away from the performance of the 308. And then look at the energy numbers at 200 yards in red. 2,179 foot-pounds of energy out of the 308, only 1,349 out of the 30-30. So even though these guys are saying that they're getting similar performance, I think you have to take that with a grain of salt or maybe a whole shaker. It's definitely improvement, but boy, do you have to go through a lot of complicated machinations to get there. My recommendation, don't mess with it, guys. If you want 308 Winchester performance, just get yourself a 308. Now, if you want a lever action, good news. There are a couple of lever actions out there that'll handle the 308. Man, there's 3 of them actually. One's no longer made. That would be the Savage 99. But this is the new Henry long range, and guess what it has? A vertically stacked magazine. So you can put your sharply pointed bullets in there all you need, and you still got a lever action that's quick and short and handy. And you don't have to mess with the 30-30 if you want to shoot longer. If you like the old cowboy gun and the limitations that come with it, go for the 30-30. If you're hunting in brush and not shooting much past 150 to 200 yards anyway, why not? Browning makes another lever action like this Henry long ranger that takes the sharply pointed bullet, same thing. So you've got options. And I always think it's just a lot easier to work those options that are convenient. I get it, guys. Those of you who like to tweak your guns and come up with something, you're like hot rodders. You know, you've got to manipulate things so that it's your unique tool, not someone else's. You don't want the same old, same old. I get that. But for the average hunter, and just for good safety reasons, I would stay away with coming up with wild ideas like sharply tipped bullets on your 30-30. Now, if you have a bolt action 30-30 with a vertically stacked magazine or a single shot, you can easily do that sort of stuff. You can work with sharply tipped bullets. But do remember, you're still handicapped by a pretty small powder reservoir, and then you've got the pressure constraints. Those brass cases on the 30-30 are not made to withstand the kind of pressures that this 308 case has. Now, there is something you need to know about the 30-30 that will work to your advantage, and that is the Hornady Flex Tip bullet. Hornady came out with the idea of a sharp, pointy rubber tip on 30-30. I don't have one here with me right now, but you can imagine what it looks like. It's a more sleekly formed bullet with a sharp tip, but because it's flexible rubber, it is not going to endanger you with that primer effect on the back. So, bingo, there's an option for increasing the ballistics coefficient of your 30-30 load and getting a little better downrange performance. How much better? Again, on the longer version of this on RSO TV, I give the numbers. I used a 160 grain FTX bullet from Hornady, and I pushed it at 2,300 feet per second, which is pretty optimistic with a 20-inch barrel, but can be done. And I ended up with a maximum point blank range of 223 yards. You know, that's a little better than 210 yards, but it keeps its energy and it doesn't deflect in the wind nearly as much as the old round noses and flat noses. So there is an advantage there, and that is the safest and easiest one. That's the one I recommend you go for if you want your old 30-30 to shoot more like a new 30-30. So be safe out there, guys, and I would say enjoy your 30-30 for what it is, enjoy your 308 for what it is, and don't try to create Frankenstein's monster. I just don't think it's worth it. Hey, this is Ron Spomer. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Hunt honest and shoot straight.